What's up y'all, Jmaculate here. In today's video, we'll be exploring the mixtape mode of the Sonicware Lofi-12 XT. Enabling this mode allows you to record any audio that comes out of the device into one long audio file that gets saved onto the SD card. This mode also has some preset cassette tape settings that you can enable, which emulate the sounds of certain vintage tapes. So we'll be exploring what those sound like, and also talking about some use cases of this mode. Alright, let's get to it. You can access mixtape mode by pressing and holding the function button, then pressing the mute button. This screen has a few controls. The A knob controls the tape type. This alters the sound of the entire mix by emulating the sound of a few different cassette types. And the D knob enables the monitor feature, which lets you hear the effect that the selected tape type has on the recording. Whether you select this or not, if you have the tape recording enabled, the selected effect will be applied to the recording. So I recommend keeping this monitor mode on if you plan on using the mixtape record function so you can hear what your recording will sound like. Before reviewing the recording function, let's listen to a beat I made and apply each tape preset to hear how the sound changes. Okay, let's talk about how the recording works. From the mixtape mode page, setting the enable parameter to on with the C knob will arm the recording, as indicated by the tape icon next to the BPM. When the recording is active, the tape icon changes. It becomes a more solid color and has a scrolling animation. Here's what it looks like going from active to armed. To trigger the recording, you have to press the play button. The recording won't trigger by pressing any of the pads to play sounds. You have to use the play button. And the recording will continue until there's no sound coming from the unit. So you might be wondering, what gets recorded? Basically, any sound you can hear gets recorded in the mixtape audio file when the recording's active. This includes sounds triggered from your sequence, pads that you trigger manually, dynamic changes you make to FX filter or other parameters, enabling or disabling effects, activating an LFO control from the mod page, adjustments to levels on the mix page, and muting tracks. The only exception to the anything you can hear rule is that the mixtape mode will not record sound you hear from any of the inputs, such as the line-in or the built-in mic. So what can you do with this feature? The simplest use is to use it to export your beats. It gives you a clean internal recording, and the signal can't get affected by things like a noisy mixer or any noise that could be introduced when going from the output of your Lofi-12 to your computer or recording device. It doesn't require any external gear, just a clean internal signal. Another use for mixtape mode is as a master effect. As you heard earlier, it sounds like it's applying some kind of low-pass filter, and each of the presets has a different setting. It may even apply compression too, it's hard to tell. But whatever it's doing, if you like the sound of it, try to shape your mix around it. Alright, let's talk about some other tips when using this mode. Tip number 1, preventing the recording from stopping. The recording will stop when there is no sound coming from the unit, generally once the last sample is finished playing when you press the play button to stop the sequence. but you can prevent this by adding the vinyl noise effect from the EFX page to any track. This creates a noise floor, which will ensure that the unit's output doesn't fall beneath the threshold that causes the recording to stop. So your recording will remain active and won't need to be re-triggered. Tip number 2, blending live takes with your recorded sequences. I recommend enabling the program mute option from the system settings page. This was added in firmware 1.2, so that you can seamlessly jam out with your patterns. Here's an example where I start the pattern with the sample chops muted and play back some sample chops with the rest of the arrangement. Then I unmute the first track to quickly revert back to the main recorded sequence of sample chops. You could do this with any of your tracks to add an unsequenced part or solo to your song. Mixtape mode's an interesting feature on the Lofi-12. While the most obvious use for it is to export your beats, I think there's some creative applications too, like using it as a master effect. It's too bad you can't record any external audio using the mixtape mode though. It would be cool to record a guitar solo, keyboard riff, or maybe even rap vocals over a mixtape arrangement. But maybe they'll add that in a future update. Well, that does it for this video. Thanks for watching, see you next time.